listening to the House by the Video Store podcast.
There's no more room in hell. The dead will walk near.
We have such sights to show you.
I kick ass for the Lord.
Praise God.
Welcome to the House by Video Store podcast. I'm your host, William, and joined daily Derek.
Yeah, after my long sabbatical, I guess I've returned for at least a couple episodes.
Yeah, I thought you were going to troll us because you...
Every time is...
Well, no, because you recommended Thankskilling. Yeah. And then I was like, is he going to recommend this movie? We're going to watch it, and he's just not going to show up knowing that he's not going to watch that film.
Well, we are like severely depleted of people at work, so we're just kind of living there now. So yeah, it's Thanksgiving week. I just took the week off, so I...
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I don't have to do no overtime. We're just like overtime every day, every weekend. So that's why I haven't been on for a long
The
time.
prodigal son has returned.
Maybe.
And then also with us is Sean.
I gotta go.
Yep. Still here.
Yes, Derek, he had a
Actually,
child. What's your excuse?
Actually, we both
had a
returned.
cat.
We all returned because we took a break last week.
Yeah,
Yes, I was on vacation and a lot of stuff going on. But on this episode, as has already been mentioned, we're discussing Thankskilling, which you can watch on Amazon Prime right now. There's also a sequel, Thankskilling 3, which I watched some of. So apparently,
really?
So the sequel isn't 2. The sequel is Thankskilling 3, and the joke in Thankskilling 3 is they made it Thankskilling 2, and it's the worst movie in the world. So, yeah, but
I mean, hey, at least they're doing something creative with
Something.
that at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So, so we'll discuss Thankskilling here in a little minute, but before that, we'll talk about some recent news and things we've been watching. And on the news, there's been some trailers that come out. So did anybody else see the trailer for A Quiet Place, the John Krasinski, Emily Blunt movie?
Nope.
yes.
Isn't it just about their marriage?
No.
Oh, I thought it was about their marriage.
I think it looks really good. I'm not a huge fan of his, only because
John Krasinski?
I just didn't like him really much on The Office, and maybe it's because I had bias, like watching the original. Like I liked the American Office. I think is fine. I enjoy it when it's on. I just never watch it from beginning to end. But like his character, it just felt like, okay, he's playing a part that he's supposed to be playing that was already done before. When like a lot, even what's his name, Steven.
Oh, Michael Scott.
Michael
Steve
Scott.
Carell.
Yeah, Steve Carell. Even his character was a lot different. You know what I mean? Or at least it became a lot different.
Well, I think like season 1 of that show, they're a little bit more derivative.
Yeah.
And then season 2 on, they kind of built out their own arcs. And
Yeah, I just, I don't know. Something about him I just did not really enjoy. And then after that, he was doing like indie drama, like that one indie dramedy that just looked derivative. And he never really just stood out as somebody that I liked. But having said that, I think this looks awesome. And he also directed this film, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like I think this looks great. This might be getting me on board with him.
Yeah. So, Derek, if you're not aware, it's basically a trailer.
I
Okay.
watched the trailer, yeah.
Okay, but you said no.
No, I've watched it. I said, was it about their marriage life? And you said no. I was like, oh, no, I haven't watched it. But no, I actually have watched it.
Okay, yeah. So the basic conceit, if you haven't seen it, you can go out and watch it. We shared it from our Facebook page, and it's all over the internet. It's basically just a movie where all the characters don't speak because there's something that if it hears sound will come. So, interesting conceit, and it's another movie where sound design will play a huge part in it, but there will likely be very little dialogue.
You know what I thought as soon as it started, before I even knew like what the concept was like, oh, is this going to be like this could potentially be Cloverfield 3?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
because it seems like a lower budget. It feels
Yeah.
like the second Cloverfield film in that it has a small maybe scope that maybe
Yeah.
is trying to seem a little bit bigger, which is not a bad thing at all. But with this concept too, like you could see it falling into that universe almost.
What's funny is I saw other people make that same comment on like Facebook or
Yeah.
YouTube or whatever of like, this better not be the third Cloverfield film.
Which I mean, yeah, who cares if it's a good film,
Yeah.
But I think it looks really good. I really like the idea because it is such a simple idea.
Yeah.
Mixing monsters with, having to be silent, and then that also like isn't interesting from a visual perspective. Like, you know what I mean? From filmmaking, just like it's a different twist on things. But I really hope they have like No Doubts Don't Speak as
Don't
Just
through multiple
know
times in
just
the
what
film.
you're thinking.
They just had that playing in the background the entire movie.
And then they
I would
just,
have watched that.
there's a lot of comedic things you could do, but it looks like it'd be pretty serious. But it's another movie that looks like that movie could have been called It Comes at Night or something.
Yeah.
Even. But yeah, so there's a trailer for that. There's a trailer for the Rampage, the one that's gonna have The Rock, Dwayne Johnson in it. And it looks like a movie where a huge gorilla and a huge wolf and a huge crocodile attack a city.
Was there a rat in the original game, or am I confused? Am I just thinking that was the wolf probably then?
It was like a wolf.
Well, there was
a
a couple
gorilla,
of
like a-
rampages.
Yeah, I probably just thought, I think there's different creatures in different ones.
Yeah.
But
If any Rampage fanboys want to come at us,
I thought, I just thought maybe it was going to be like the games and somebody's going to get turned into that big creature and
Yeah,
be really goofy.
That's kind of what I was hoping
Yeah.
for. I don't know why, because my thing is like when you get into that and it's an absurd concept, I think sometimes when you go into the absurdity, it makes it better.
Yeah.
So like kind of going into where they're all animals, like okay, that's like to me that's the safe route. Like that's and we talked about,
But
this
it's
before.
still really stupid
Yeah,
because it's
still
just
really
a bunch of people fighting
yeah.
in a city. Like,
but it's like I would like to see
Go all
like
the way.
the guy turn into a gigantic werewolf for
Yeah.
no explanation, just
A
have it happen.
werewolf. Well,
you know,
well, I mean,
just like a Fantastic Four. It's a group of people working on something.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like the woman is, I don't remember what she is, but she's one of the characters,
yeah,
But,
it's like just go for it, and because we've kind of reached that point in movies where you can do the most absurd stuff, like in comic books and sci-fi, and it's okay now. You don't have to.
Well,
people
rationalize
understand.
well,
you
too,
know?
though, like The Rock seems to be one of the most dependable box office draws in the world right now.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a franchise for him to fly a helicopter and be involved
Do
in
what he
big
does,
action
yeah.
and run away from
Somewhere
things.
Tyrese
and-
is really mad.
Is this the same producers? I thought it said same director as San Andreas, or is it just producers?
I thought it might be. I know I've seen the
Because
same thing.
I mean, you could probably take out multiple scenes in this film and just put it right
And
into
yeah,
San
yeah.
Andreas, like he's flying around in a helicopter and the city's crumbling. Just
no-
delete the monsters.
when you told me I was like 8 or 9 that the guy like power slamming everybody, calling him jabronis, was going to be the biggest movie star when I was like 27, I'm probably like, no, I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah,
here he is.
because
So.
the Rock went
What
from...
about telling you that Donald Trump was going to be president? Also,
Same
Yeah,
year.
in the late
Would
90s,
not
if
believe
you
that.
told me in the late 90s, early 2000s, it's like, oh, so the biggest movie star in the world will be Rock, Dwayne,
Just
Rock
The Rock.
Johnson,
Just call him
The
The
Rock.
Rock.
The Rock will be the biggest star in the world, and Donald Trump will be president. And what are other unbelievable things?
and some of our favorite childhood stars have been accused of sexual assault.
Yeah,
like
everybody in Hollywood's just dirt. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh, well, I don't know. I don't think it's that hard to believe that a lot of people who had a lot of money and power in an era when it wasn't as socially
Yeah.
enlightened were being trash people.
Yeah, but I mean, but sometimes it's people that's like think, oh man, you know,
Yeah.
that
But,
are being accused.
Well, I saw like you do every now and then. I've seen the memes. Like there's like a meme. It's like Tom Hanks, still a nice guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah,
If Tom Hanks got accused of something, probably just destroyed the world. That would just be the, contingency
Yeah.
plan there.
yeah. But trying to think, were there other trailers? There was
I saw Murder on the Orient Express. I probably saw some trailers before that, but I do not remember any trailers before Thor that were any good.
because I know that there was some horror movie that there was a trailer for. Nothing that didn't.
Oh,
enough
they
to
got
make
the
me
new
remember it.
Strangers film coming out.
Oh
They had a trailer
yes,
for
they have a
that.
trailer for the new sequel for The Strangers, which is multiple years after
Yeah,
the fact.
at least a decade almost, because I was a senior in high school when I think the first Strangers came out. So
The Strangers things.
Is there a trailer for Insidious 4 yet? Because that comes out in
Yes.
January.
yeah,
Yes.
it's been out.
How
for
did
a
that
while.
look?
Really good.
Did I watch that?
I think
don't
we talked about it on the
remember.
podcast.
Maybe I watched it then.
Yeah,
because I've
and
seen the posters in theaters, but I don't think I've seen that trailer in theaters.
The
yet.
trailer looks fine. I mean, I think just I think the fact they're releasing it in January says they may not be as confident or have as much money in it
I
as
did
the
see
other
that
ones.
because it's about what's her name?
well, Lynn Shay's in it.
Yeah, Lynn. It's about her primarily, right? Or like she's kind of the main character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see.
Well,
that.
you
It
say
did
that,
look good.
but I think with the Fizzo movie that M. Night Shyamalan released in January, that did really well. And I'm thinking now you're seeing stuff like Deadpool and that, and a couple other movies that came out in the Dead Zone, January, February, and
well, what's
March do
happened
good,
is-
that they're not afraid to release movies. Then.
Well, like, what is it? The Black Panther, so that Marvel film is coming out in February of 2018.
Yeah.
So pretty much what's happened is the summer months have been so stacked with big releases that things are creeping earlier and earlier into the year.
And that, I mean, February also is Black History Month too.
Yeah.
That's
So,
smart from
yeah.
that regard as well.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of people are really excited about that on multiple levels.
Because years ago, launching marquee film in May was a bit early.
Yeah.
Like some of the like Spider-Man movies or whatever.
And now like every
And
Marvel's
then-
tentpole
Now
is
they're like
that made.
December 27th.
Yeah.
So now you like,
Avengers 5.
like so first it was May, then April because you saw stuff come out in April, and then because things got so busy in those early months and stuff got pushed into March, now it's getting into February,
Yeah.
and then you have stuff going through the end of the year. Like the
'cause-
only real down months are like September.
But Deadpool came out like around Valentine's Day, didn't it?
Yeah, it came out in
Yeah.
February, and
so I mean, you see a lot of these movies that have came out around then that have been successful,
Well, and
there's not much competition.
because Deadpool was a huge hit, and they put it out in February because they
And it was
know,
rated R.
It was a rated R superhero film or comic book film, not necessarily a superhero, a comic book film that was rated R with a lower budget than they typically give those movies. And they wanted to keep it away from the summer fracas. But
Well, speaking of, anybody watch the Deadpool teasers yet?
I like clicked through
Like
one
the
really
Happy
quickly.
Trees
Yeah, I just clicked
Yes.
through it real fast.
I enjoyed it. I am pretty excited for that, but I think this
When
year,
does that come out?
God, they got so many X-Men movies coming out this year. There's like one every month, but I think it's like in June.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's more of a summer release. Yeah, the trailer for it only has a little bit of real footage, and then him just doing a Bob Ross painting and
Yeah.
whacking off a brush.
That's right. I clicked till I got to the like real footage, and some of that looked
Yeah.
really cool, like him in a
Yeah.
coffin and all that stuff.
Well,
It
I
looked
think-
goofy and fun.
this year's, because we got at least 3 Marvel movies coming out. We got 3 X-Men movies coming out. Disney's trying to purchase every single thing on the planet, so by the end of the month, like they will probably own every
Jason
TV
Voorhees will be part of the Avengers.
it'd be part of the Avengers. The way we keep going, but then I don't know if there's many. Or I know there's a couple DC movies.
So
coming.
another thing too that I saw, I guess yesterday, I guess with the new Star Wars Last Jedi, I think there's going to be the trailer for the new Jurassic World.
Yeah.
and supposedly that's more of a horror angle than the other ones.
Is Chris Pratt still in this one?
I would have to
I
assume.
would think so. And then I guess an Infinity War trailer might be on there. But if that Jurassic World is actually more horror focused, that would be really, really cool. Because like, why not? You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, that
Didn't
costs
Jeff
a lot of
Goldblum-
money to do a dinosaur movie,
Yeah.
and you know, there's only so many people that can make those films on that budget. So to see one that's actually like focused on horror is like would be pretty cool. Granted, I'm sure it's still gonna be PG-13, but
Yeah. Wasn't Jeff Goldblum gonna be in the new one too?
yeah, I think so.
So
Yeah.
that's good. What about the Rena Indiana Jones? Is he gonna be in it? The guy from the first, Sam Neill.
I don't think
Dr.
so.
Grant, I don't think so.
Remember he was the Rena Indiana Jones?
Yes.
There's a turkey.
Yeah. Our star of the film at Thanksgiving. What was it? Rob Zombie's Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving dinner is
Okay.
directed in the style of Rob Zombie.
Okay,
So this,
okay.
so if you're listening to the audio only version, on the video version, we have the inflatable turkey from that short we made, and I'm just holding it in frame for no reason. But
we should have hung it from some wire from the ceiling.
Well,
or
it
something.
sucks
Have
you
it
don't
just-
have a, yeah.
back
So,
and
well, it
forth.
sucks you don't have a ceiling fan here because you just hooked up the ceiling fan and had it swinging, and then we could just not even address the flying inflatable turkey.
So I guess we move into the things we've been watching, and I'll start off with one thing that we had joked about before, but I actually got to watch some of on the plane.
Medea 2. Boo.
No, Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage.
Sweet.
I'll tell you what, Vin Diesel is an idiot.
So the movie includes scenes in which he skis down the side of
A mountain,
the
yeah.
Amazon.
Yeah, we talked
like
about
the
that
Amazon
before.
rainforest. It's like that's not how skis work. He sexually fulfills at least 7 women and leaves them passed out while he's still got some energy and just gross. And just him, like in the movie, he's so damn cocky. The entire movie is him being full of himself and being proven right. And he's like the best at everything. And he's like a world-class skateboarder. And he's like doing a longboard down the side of some hill, doing like 60 miles an hour. And then he beds a woman and leaves in the morning. And she's like just happy she got to experience him.
Did you guys see Spy, Melissa McCarthy film?
No.
Okay, so minors, I don't want to say spoilers, but it was a fun thing in that film that is a cool angle. Jason Statham plays that character, but he's like a colossal asshole,
Yeah.
you know, and like a dumbass also. But like they're making fun of that trope of like the badass super spy.
Yeah.
So it's just so stupid when they actually like make a film and they play it straight like that. Like we're past that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that was like Roger Moore Bond
Yes,
stuff.
yeah.
Like Yeah, where he just runs in, judo chops everybody, knocks them
Well-
out, and then has sex with everybody, and then he leaves. And it's like, no,
Well, then there's like a bunch of like the forced humor where there's somebody that's on like he gets recruited by Tony Collette to work for the Triple X agency again. They just kind of hand wave off the fact that they said he was dead in the other ones, and then like there was like an assistant on the plane who's like of course a young attractive girl who just wants to be with him because every woman in the world wants to have sex with Vin Diesel / was it Xander Cage. And then at some point it's like a bunch of like the really not funny forced humor where she's like, yeah, I'm really into you, but you know, whatever, the safe word is this, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like that word vomit of like style of comedy where they just keep talking.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not funny. And then his ragtag,
Kind of like Gilmore Girls.
yeah. And then there's like a group of special forces agents that he's able to like
have sex with
get
until they
the-
pass out.
he's he's able to get the jump on them and like in a supposedly funny way. And then he has to recruit his team, of course. And then it's got the guy that plays the Hound from Game of Thrones, but he just looks normal. And it's got Ruby Rose, who is also in John Wick 2.
She's in everything.
Question: did he knock somebody out, put a bomb up their butt, and flip them over a boat, and then they exploded and they hit the water?
That was a Sean Connery Bond film.
That was Sean Connery?
Yeah.
Well, did it happen, though?
No.
Okay, then they didn't jump. They didn't go all the
I think
way.
it would have been great is if he would have bet 7 women this film, but every time he left them unfulfilled. like all those scenes ended within like 10 seconds.
like, he thought they were obviously...
and then he just walks out of the room.
Yeah.
and
So,
they're
like-
mad.
So he's laying in a room with a bunch of women laying on the floor, and he walks out of the room. And he's like, "Nice." And the second he gets out of the door, they're like, "He was the worst I've ever had." He's like a baby down there. But
Well, he's going to hear this and then, like, come and beat us
He's
up.
never going to be in your film.
Yeah, he's gonna
it's funny
ski
to see
over
the
here.
trajectory of like, he did Fast and the Furious, and then he was too good to be in that franchise.
Yeah.
He did Triple X. He was too good to be in the sequel. Ice Cube took that over. You know what I mean? Now Ice Cube is like way up here, and now Xander Cage has fallen from glory, and now he's doing this sequel like all these years later.
The thing is, though, he's making, I would
Money.
assume, bank for all these franchise films because the Fast and Furious has been so profitable. But it's just the first.
I think he's slowly burning up his goodwill though, just
Yeah,
because they
I
are
think he
not,
has a
you know what I
reputation
mean?
as a-
Like they just seem so trite.
the first Triple X seemed like, and at the time, like X Games, like.
Oh, well, yeah, it was definitely in that
Millennial
extreme era.
whatever.
I went to see that only because we
approach.
were again in high school going to see like every movie that came out, and it was really stupid but enjoyable. Like surfing down like a handrail with like a food platter at a party and stuff,
Yeah, but it's like you
and like
see
Tony
that.
Hawk's in there. I think
Yeah.
like, oh man, awesome job.
Yeah, one thing we need to bring back in this world of ours is the random Tony Hawk
Cameo, yeah.
It just wasn't like sports movies. He was in like a lot of stuff
Oh,
for no reason. He's
so-
just like, yeah. It's like,
So,
yeah,
so
bring it
in
back.
Triple X, there's also a scene where Neymar, like the soccer player's in it, and he kicks a napkin container at somebody. There's a scene where they're riding Xander Cage and some other guy riding dirt bikes, or Donnie Yen and Xander Cage riding dirt bikes, and then they turn into jet skis kind of and can ride on water. So he can ski down normal like dirt and grass and then drive a dirt bike over water. So they don't understand how these things work. And it was just so over the top and it was so full of itself. If the original film was like, oh, it's the X Games take on James Bond for the younger audience, fine, that's whatever it is.
And it was even dumb to us who,
at the time.
who were like that audience. We would see it like, ironically, like that was even dumb in like the early 2000s.
But
So
then does
to be
it-
this many years later.
But the new one just took itself so damn serious and made him the coolest guy on the planet. And
Do you think that some of that was probably because that's what Vin Diesel wanted?
I think
Yeah,
so.
oh, yeah.
Because I think
I'm
that
sure.
plays into his ego.
Yeah.
Like, because I could see like a lot of people, especially
I
the
need
pop.
to bet it's at least 7 women in
I
each
can,
film.
I can see like,
like-
in the writer's room, he's like, yeah. So as reward, they brought in this woman to have sex. He's like, you know what? Make it 5. And then he comes back in. He's like, 5's not enough. Go up.
But talking about like Deadpool, like or that earlier, like that's the type of movie where they would make fun. Like I think I can't think of his name right now.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds has enough humor about himself. He could make the jokes where he leaves the women unfulfilled.
Yeah.
And he did really, and that's okay with him. But I think some guys like Vin Diesel probably can't mentally handle that.
So
there's
he
just,
won't do any self-deprecation.
yeah.
to-
Whereas it's like sometimes it's okay to do it because like Hugh Jackman kind of did a little bit in some of the X-Men stuff.
So basically,
Like, it makes it a little funnier. But when he's so serious, like he thinks he's above the joke, but he is the joke.
There's nothing to connect to. Like, even though, granted, we can't like ski down that Amazon mountains on the skis, but like whenever somebody is at least has some sort of humor or self-deprecation, that's like a human connection. Like, oh, this is like a person.
Yeah.
But when it's so elevated past that to this weird like stratosphere of action film hero that isn't tangible to anything in the real world, and that's all it is, just overblown. Like, yeah, there's just no connection.
And when
there.
somebody is so full of themselves and so arrogant, like typically in those movies, they get torn down some, and they have to get. And he never got torn down. He's got the legend of him built up even
that
further.
Doesn't make for an interesting
because he's like
protagonist.
Sitting there on the bench. He's like, "Okay, everybody, come out. You know how I knew this was a sting operation. That guy's doing this, and she's doing that, and you're doing this."
I mean, you know, one of the greatest like characters in action films of all time is Indiana Jones. And he like bubbles around and like, you know, and like that's like one of the greatest characters of all time.
He has like the honorable failure.
Yeah.
So basically, I actually got bored enough with that movie. I turned it off before the last 5 minutes, and then like the flight got to the part where they turned the Wi-Fi off.
William, I hate to surprise you, but we got a special guest today, Vin Diesel here.
They just come in.
Oh yeah, we do have Vin Diesel. It's the turkey.
Yeah, the turkey full of hot air.
Let's see. So there was that movie that I watched that I wouldn't really recommend. And then
So you watched the whole movie?
I watched all
begrudgingly.
Yeah.
I watched most of it, and then at the end I stopped when like we got to the part where you turn the Wi-Fi off.
Or you like, plane, please go down.
And then, but then something I did enjoy is last night, Julie and I saw Thor Ragnarok. And that was from Taika Waititi, who directed or was the co-director of What We Do in the Shadows, which we've reviewed on the podcast before. And I found it to be a very enjoyable movie. It kind of took... So we said Triple X was Vin Diesel with not taking into account, like, you know, this pumped him up to be the best character of all time, and it was so played straight with him being like this ultimate badass ladies man, whatever, as opposed to Thor Ragnarok really took the piss out of Thor the entire movie.
Yeah.
And like pointed out like he was trying to be smooth at times, and it failed because he was like would knock something off a table, or like he was trying to work the timing out to get some like heroic one-liner, and then the timing didn't work, and it was just I think that like comedy is the way you take that character who isn't all that compelling in a super straightforward narrative. And then to make him work by like taking the piss out of the character a little bit.
Again, because in that universe, out of all the characters, like he is actually, again, on the stratosphere of being above everybody. He's a god. You know what I mean? Like Iron Man, he's relatable. Like he's he fails a lot.
He always fails. Like Iron Man never
like
succeeds.
Iron Man, just like you know,
Spider-Man.
Hawkeye's like whatever. Who else is in the Avengers?
Like Black Widow, Captain America.
You know, like granted, no, he doesn't fail a lot, but I don't know. He has like a human element to him. So like when Thor comes in, it's just like. Thor's a little lame because he's just a god.
Can't relate.
Like,
he's this chiseled guy that's a god.
Yeah, so I really like that they kind of
You have like Ant-Man who works at Baskin Robbins. After he's on work
So
release or whatever.
then you have Thor, and this movie kind of brings him down a little bit, and you know puts him, you know, just kind of plays on the tropes of like masculinity and stuff like that to some extent, but just pairs him off of amazing scenarios like Jeff Goldblum, who is Jeff Goldbluming as hell in this movie. Because just whenever I think of Jeff Goldblum, like he is such a caricature at this point.
Yeah,
At times he does straight acting, but he also does like this caricature version of himself.
You need to go watch Portlandia because he's on there a lot.
No, I've seen it.
No, I'm saying I'm just talking to the general audience. Like if you like Jeff Goldblum, check out Portlandia because when he's on there. He's always good. Yeah. But he might be like William said, just the most Jeff Goldblum you can handle.
This is ridiculous.
Because there's like a scene where they go in to get an art piece for somebody's birthday, and he just puts a pair of headphones in his pocket and gets them out and throws them in a case, and they sell it. It's like
I remember that.
It's like, and he just sells it so good. It's like that's.
Or have you guys seen Chef Goldblum?
No.
On Tim and Eric's show, he's on Tim and Eric, and he plays Chef Goldblum.
So Jeff long live the Goldblum. He was great, and then there are some surprise cameos that I won't spoil that were pretty funny, and just the overall movie.
Was Iron Man in there?
Well, I don't want to spoil
anything.
No, I was just
I'm not going to spoil who's in it. But
Batman is definitely
was Ben Affleck as Daredevil in it?
Kind of.
Okay.
If you see it, you know what I mean. Maybe, but Yeah, this
Nobody
overall,
wants Ben Affleck.
Overall, it was a fun movie, and it's kind of an action comedy. It had like a synthy score that kind of felt like early '90s, like sci-fi video game, or kind of like I'm trying to think. Like,
I mean, a lot of people said like it was kind of like a Flash Gordon film as far as like visual styles and tone is like kind of being out there.
Yeah, there's like a lot of super bright colors. There's a lot of jokes in it, and like the music to me and all that stuff almost felt kind of like a Battletoads or something of like that kind of era, and it was really fun. And
I think Mark's mother bro maybe did the music for that. Who did like a lot of the Wes Anderson films? He's done like tons of stuff.
We need more Battletoads is what we need.
But the overall movie I really enjoyed, and I'm trying to think what the last standalone Marvel film was. Doctor Strange?
No, there could have been another one.
No, it couldn't have been.
That
We
was
had
a
Guardians of
long-
the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Yes, it was Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Spider-Man. Okay, so there were multiple.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
it was
Doctor
like-
Strange was like last December.
Yeah, that was that was
okay.
last November. It was about the same
Okay,
time
yeah.
as Thor.
Yeah, so you had Doctor Strange. I think Thor Ragnarok was better than Doctor Strange. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I'm not really sure which one I prefer.
What if
I wasn't
Doctor?
super hot on Guardians of the Galaxy 2. There's things I liked about it a lot, but
I just like
I don't know. Like part of that film just did not. I don't know. The force, like it wasn't a driving force throughout the film. Like the narrative, it wasn't pushing itself forward enough for me. Like
Yeah.
like all the moments were great, but just something about it was not as.
Well, I think
I don't know.
Thor Ragnarok, I think I actually end up liking better because it feels like it has momentum throughout.
Yeah.
And it keeps compelling it forward. As opposed to Guardians of the Galaxy felt like, or the second one felt like it hit like a skid where it kind of took a little bit of a break from the story.
Yeah,
Kinda
yeah,
had some
which is
like
weird.
downtime. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And it seems like it set up some more stuff. I had not seen the second Thor film, and it doesn't appear as if you really needed
Yeah, I
to.
don't-
Good.
And
Not want that homework.
yeah, because it explains, aside from seeing the first Avengers, even if you haven't seen any of them, it kind of gives enough like light background, just an offhand, like, oh, well, you did this.
Yeah.
Then you should be up to speed and know
Where's
what's
Natalie
happening.
Portman in it?
I don't think it's a spoiler. She wasn't in it
Why not?
because she
Why is she
got
not
tired
there?
of
Why is
superhero
she not
films.
there?
Because she
She'd
said
be
those
there.
Thor movies aren't any good, and then they made a good one, and she's like, "Damn it,
Time to go back to Star. When she in Star Wars?
She was in the prequel.
time to go back to Star Wars.
Annie, you're killing me, Annie. It's not her fault. It's the dialogue. But so Thor Ragnarok, I really enjoyed. I'd recommend it if you liked any of those films. I'd give it at least like an 8 out of 10. I thought it was really solid and fun. I think that was like since I was on vacation, like I didn't really have a chance to watch much else. So
you didn't watch The Punisher, an episode of that
Yeah, I
yet?
haven't watched that.
I
yet either.
did not have a chance to yesterday because it's pretty much we went and saw the movie and then went to bed.
Well, we went to the football game, and then we got rained
out.
out, and then we got splashed by some piece of crap, and then yeah, by the time I got home, I had to. Anyway, I watched a bunch of obviously y'all covered Stranger Things last
Season
episode.
2.
Oh yeah, how you feel on that?
Oh, I loved it. Stranger Things.
Well, look at his jacket. He's wearing a members only jacket.
Yeah, I'm wearing his members only jacket. I really liked. The first season took me a while to watch, and then when I did watch it, I liked it a lot. Second season, I think some of the character arcs weren't as good as I wanted to be. Some of them were way better than I thought they could be. Like Hopper, I kind of like to see a little bit more with him than what they did because in the first season he was kind of like not the smartest one, but he was making decisions that were kind of interesting. Or this one, it seemed like he was just doing like plot devices, like go get stuck in catacomb, go do whatever it was he was doing. Just seemed like the only thing he just did stuff for plot reasons. I mean, outside of that, I thought it was great. I'm really excited for the third season whenever it comes out. I've heard rumors that it might be a year out.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little while. They said, I think.
But I think everybody's because the guy that plays Hopper is going to do Hellboy, and I'm sure like all the kids are going to be into stuff because Finn, whatever his name is already been in It and a bunch of stuff. But I'm trying to think of some other stuff I watched, and there's a bunch of stuff I watched for Halloween, like Slumber Party Massacre. Which if y'all watch that,
No.
Oh God, it's not. I mean, for the time period, it's okay. But I guess the one cool thing about that film,
It's a ringing endorsement for the time period. It's
It's
okay.
But I guess the one cool thing about it is it was, from what I understood, it was written and directed by a woman, and all of them have been. So
That's
that was like
cool.
one of the first time that like a trilogy had been at least directed all by women.
That's cool.
Which you can kind of see that by the way they treat some of the female characters, because it's not. A lot of the stuff is obviously sexualized because it's a slumber party massacre.
Yeah.
But it's not like it is in like the Friday the 13th movies where there's just boobs everywhere for no reason.
Yeah.
You know. But I don't know. Like, I was really impressed with Stranger Things. Not so much Slumber Party Massacre. Man, there's a bunch of stuff I watched, but I didn't write all of it down.
Oh, and then you watched The Babysitter too, right?
Oh God, that was terrible. Did anybody
Yeah,
else
no,
watch
I haven't. I mean, William has crapped on it since week one, but
Well,
I almost watched it last night.
The dialogue
or the other night.
is so bad in it. You go watch something like, I don't want to pick on Stranger Things, you go pick something like that where the dialogue, like, oh, okay, that makes sense. This one's like, everybody just seems like really whiny, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like Bella Thorne in it was really annoying. Like the cheerleader character.
She's the one in Amyville, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And maybe that's how they wanted the character to be written, but like, and like haven't watched a movie in maybe 10 years where they just did this stereotypical black guy from the mid 2000s. And this had that, because that guy, the only thing he's saying was like, "Oh snap!"
Well, apparently he was a YouTube star.
Yeah, but I mean, the only thing he said was like,
what is his name? Because I think he's funny. I think. What the hell is his name?
well, his only lines in the movie are almost like, "Oh snap" or "Oh shit." Yeah.
Well, there's moments like I got 2 people's blood on me with the rate of STDs. That means I got AIDS or something.
Yeah, and it's like I just got really. It's like, man, this is like, that was like, to me, like below the 2000s like scary movie.
Well, being directed by Mick G, to me it felt very much through the lens of a lot of his stuff, which felt, so he was like the showrunner or one of the executive producers or whatever on shows like Chuck and some other stuff. So like that show felt fun at least, and inviting, and like there was like good character moments, and they had good actors in all the roles.
Man,
this felt like, it almost felt like a made-for-TV movie from the mid-2000s. That, because like, like I said, there's everything you thought would happen. You could check the boxes off. It's there's a bunch of teens playing Spin the Bottle. Well, the 2 hot girls are gonna kiss. Oh, they did.
but like I said again,
then
this
there's
felt like something from the 2000s.
There's this really buff guy. His shirt's coming off, and they're gonna comment about it. Oh, it did. And there's only like 1 or 2 things actually that were funny, and they had like titles that popped up on screen
for no reason. Like it did it at different times, so it didn't really keep any continuity to it. And that's my biggest problem, is when I watch this movie, it's like, okay, I feel like in 2004 this movie probably would have been okay, but they just took like Lights Out. They're like, they must have really loved like 2004 or 5, and that's what they just went for, because it's like nobody loves 2004 or 5. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, like right
Class
now,
of 2004.
Yeah. like, like right now, like we're like, the 80s for us is the 50s for the 80s, if that makes sense, because like we love the 80s right now.
There's a lot of like 50s nostalgia in the 80s.
And what's going to happen is nobody's going to be nostalgic over like 2000, 2010. There's, the clothes were bad, the music was bad, everything was bad. So nobody's going to be like super nostalgic for that. So don't try to base a movie in that, because nobody wants to watch it.
Yeah. Go back
But
to
if you grew up in that era, you don't know those things are bad.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
you
like,
know what I
that's
mean.
what-
You
that
just
was like, I was-
mean, that's the thing with the '90s too. Like, okay, stuff was bad, but you were into it.
So I think a lot of people can look back and look at, like, a lot of, at least people from our generation who were white dudes at that time can look back at all the bleach blonde, wannabe Eminem hair and say that was terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't it?
It was terrible. Or all the super saggy
Fred
wannabe
Durst
Fred
clothes.
Durst
I had
clothes.
Jinko jeans, but mainly because I was into Korn, not Limp Bizkit.
But so Sean, did you watch anything?
I watched a crap ton of stuff, but let's see here. What Murder on the Orient Express? I'm only mentioning that because
How many
it was theatrical.
women did Johnny Depp abuse in that movie?
That's not funny.
None.
None.
That
I'm surprised he still
I don't
isn't in
know.
stuff.
So, as somebody pointed out, they're like, if you don't like Johnny Depp, this film is actually a bit cathartic. Like, I think the trailer shows this, but he is the person who gets murdered.
Yeah.
And the way he gets murdered is pretty good.
Yeah.
And his character is like kind of, he's
Well, it just surprised me, like, out of all the stuff like that, he's obviously has been like the one claim and other stuff, but he still gets stuff.
Yeah,
and like they banked on him on the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise.
And he's gonna be in the new Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them sequel.
How many chances will
somebody pointed out that somebody asked a film critic or somebody, and they're like, do you think they cast him in this role specifically? And they're like, yeah, actually I do, because like he's the person that dies and it's like a satisfying way, and he's not in the film like a ton, like he is the murder, so that's what they're trying to solve,
Well, he did get paid for it though.
Yeah, he got paid for
to help
it,
pay off his yachts and his
like
the person that reads his lines to him.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I would have cast him in it, but also to like my thoughts on some of that stuff is that if something comes out on somebody, maybe they shouldn't have casted him based on allegations or whatever, but it's sometimes if it does come out later, it's like punishing the entire production or everybody else involved.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it's like put their time and craft into it and all that stuff.
But for them,
like,
it seems like they cast him in the right role in this film.
Well, but there's like that Ridley Scott movie that had Kevin Spacey in it where they're reshooting the scenes.
Yeah, but
so that's actually rewarding their crew because paying them to go shoot the same stuff again.
Yeah.
But apparently, too, Ridley Scott wanted Christopher Plummer to be in that role. It was rumored anyway. And the studios or producers or whoever was like, no, we need somebody bigger. Get Kevin Spacey. So I think that was his chance to be like, all right, let's let's do this right.
The bad thing with like Kevin Spacey is like I really liked Baby Driver and I liked his role in that. Now it's like,
Speaking of that and Punisher, what's his name? John Bernthal. I guess he said that Kevin Spacey was a bit of a dick on that set.
Oh, you definitely see that.
Yeah.
Just the way, because I feel like Kevin Spacey probably acted the way he does in most films in real life.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff like if you told me Vin Diesel was a dick on Triple X, I'd be like,
no way.
I can kind of see
so
that.
Murder on the Orient Express, it was fine. Like there was no like big giant like awesome moments or anything like that. Like it was a murder being solved and it was kind of just went along and it was entertaining the whole time, but nothing was like outstandingly exciting.
Wasn't Catwoman in it?
Anne Hathaway?
No,
but the only Catwoman, the one from
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah, and Ray was in it from Star Wars. Like the cast is really good.
Yeah.
The cast is awesome. Visually, it's awesome. Like I did like the film for sure, but like one of my favorite films of all time, and my wife's is like Clue. Yeah. It's not that type of film because it has fun with the mystery, but it's not as over the top. Yeah, it's not as over the top as Clue. Like okay, whoever's sitting down in theaters now, we're watching a mystery film. It's not that, but it still is having fun that it being a mystery. So I did enjoy it.
Didn't the Clue film have a bunch of different endings?
And like there would be different screenings, and they would have like different endings, and then on TV version it would be like, or maybe this happened, and then it would flip, and then like I loved Clue. I love murder mysteries, so that's why we went to see that because she was not high on Thor. She doesn't like that character. I was trying to explain to her like, I think it's going to be good this time though. So yeah, that was pretty good. I enjoyed it. So watched an episode of that Outcast show.
Oh, the one that was directed by Adam Wingard.
Yes,
the pilot.
And I'm drawing a blank now. The showrunner on
Robert Kirkman.
The
creator of the Walking Dead.
Yes, so it's one of his shows. It's on I think Cinemax because we got a trial to watch another film.
I was just
Skinemax. Yeah, I know. Oddly enough, we checked. There's hardly none of that on there anymore. It's on demand, but I was like, I'd always joked about it. We've never had it, and we got it to watch Man on the Moon, the Andy Kaufman film, and there's like nothing. There's like 2 things on there, and that's it.
The weird thing about the Andy Kaufman film is I remember my mom took me to see it when it first came out.
Man on the Moon.
So that would put me like what, maybe 10?
It was 97.
I was 7. So like I remember not getting any of that movie at all, because I was like 7. Do you remember seeing that in theaters?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why I got taken.
I was fascinated by Andy Kaufman as a kid, like just seeing the E! True Hollywood Stories.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching that, and I watched Man on the Moon when I was like younger. But Nicole had never seen it, and that Jim and Andy doc came out on Netflix. So I was like, all right, I haven't seen this doc, obviously. I was like, but I think you need some more context, and they're probably going to be able to give, just because it's such a crazy thing. So I had her watch some documentaries on Andy Kaufman, and then we watched Man on the Moon, and then we watched the doc, and like she loved it all too. That doc is awesome if you were in on that and you kind of know Andy Kaufman's shtick and you've seen the film. So definitely recommend that. That was like a really fun watch, really cool. But yeah, Outcast, it's it's the tone of horror that I'm not super in on. I know, I think MJ Jones or whatever recommended it to us, I believe,
Yeah.
a long time ago. I'm not saying it's a bad show at all. It's maybe just not my flavor of horror. And also too, like I'm not in on The Walking Dead that much. And it shares a similarity in The Walking Dead. The thing that did not hook me in is I think the main sheriff character, at least in the first season, was
Coral.
boring as hell.
Rick Grimes.
Like he was just so vanilla and you know what I mean? He just was not a character to me really.
He's
that
a
well.
white knight. And,
Yeah, and it was just, he didn't have much personality.
So you're saying he's mayonnaise?
I've only seen the first episode of Outcast, but the same character feels like almost from the same place. He has they start bringing up some backstory. They kind of start forward in the story, and he's like this guy who lives alone, and obviously he's had some disturbing stuff in his life. And the show is about people getting possessed by demons.
Yeah.
I gather mostly, and I think he maybe helps exorcise them or something.
Is he a personal trainer for their souls?
Yeah, but he's
your
like,
work ethic,
he's
eh?
been through some stuff, so he lives like alone, and his house is all dingy and dirty, and his sister like tries to like keep him afloat, or as far as like being out socially and all this
Yeah.
stuff. So his character's better than Rick Grimes was in that first season, and this is only the first episode, but you know, it's like a possession show with demons, and it's not like there's demons from Evil Dead and like Night of the Demons, and then there's demons from, you know, those very serious like Exorcist movies. You know, like I love The Exorcist, but unless you are operating on a very high level, I think when you play stuff super seriously, if it doesn't draw you in all the way, then for
doesn't
me
work.
it's just boring.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
or it's kinda goofy
or
almost,
it's-
yeah.
yeah, or it's like, okay, I've seen this before. Like unless you're really, really, really nailing it, which is a hard thing to do, it's much easier to go goofy and at least have
Yeah.
fun with it.
Then I was nailing it, and it was like, nail me.
This is very straightforward and serious, and there's a little bit of humor in there, but not a lot. But yeah, so for me, it just didn't draw me in too much. I could see why people would like this show. It seems well made. You know, the first episode was well directed for a TV horror show and stuff like that. But I actually quit it probably like 40 minutes in to do something else. Like I think I just got tired of watching at
To
that
change
point.
a diaper.
Yeah, probably. But my wife was there too, and I'm like, we can just watch something else because I know she's not in on it either. And then like I made myself finish it like last night or the night before, just so I could at least like finish out that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's bad at all. It's just it wasn't for me.
Your cup of tea.
No. But it did seem well made. Like if that's the thing you're into, it seemed like it could be interesting. And I'm sure the story seemed like it could go in interesting places. Like minor spoilers, but like there's apparently like a police officer and a priest and stuff like that. And after the end of the first episode, it seems like they may be in on like knowing that stuff happens in that town, and they kind of work together to kind of keep that stuff in control. So it seems cool. You know what I mean? It's not just like, I don't know. It seems a little bit original in that regard. I did watch the first episode of Punisher, and I did that for William because I thought he was going to watch it.
I made no such promise.
He's been high on that. You know you haven't, but you've been so like, you know, I know that show has been coming. I have not watched any other Marvel TV show.
Well, from what I've heard, it sounds like it's pretty disconnected from the rest of them.
Yeah, like I had no problems. Like that first episode is no problems at all jumping in. Now, okay, this is like within the first few moments of it, I guess. Spoilers, and maybe it's not even really spoilers, I don't think. But
I feel like with Marvel stuff, like if you know enough about the base of a character,
so
yeah,
some stuff happens in the beginning. Whatever, he goes after a guy, but then like he's walking in slow motion, zipping up his like hoodie with the Punisher logo, and I was like, oh, this seems a little cheesy. Like it's really not my cup of tea, just because that like logo has been so like appropriated over time. Like, you know, like so many Hot Topic.
Well, and not just that. Now, like everybody uses the Punisher logo. Like
Yes.
it's really popular with the military. It's also really popular like the MMA community. From what I
It's
understand.
just
like, a lot of that
it's-
stuff you see.
It's
like,
taken on a whole different life and context, so it's like it's hard to make it like serious and fit in this. But after that moment, this is in the first few months of the show, he burns the shirt.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. They're kind of like setting themselves apart and being like, okay, we're not gonna like maybe just living this fantasy of like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just has so much baggage now at this point, that logo, and so many lame people also wear that logo. Like,
well, yeah.
Too, so many people appropriate that logo and iconography without understanding what the
Exactly.
character is.
Yeah,
the character
exactly.
isn't an endorsement of vigilante justice and just all out violence.
yes, yeah.
It's more of a statement like he's a guy that kills bad guys, and then that makes the bad guys hate him, and then the good guys are like, hey, stop killing people. So he's kind of like on both sides they're against him, aside from the random team ups that occur.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what they should have done is the Super Punisher All Stars and had Ivan Drago, Tom Jane, and Shane from The Walking Dead all together.
So basically, Sean, did the first episode make you watch any of the following episodes?
Actually, yeah. Like maybe like 20 minutes in, I thought I'll probably just watch this episode, but there was enough character stuff in there. It didn't seem like really well written.
So you didn't skateboard down a flight of stairs?
No, but like there was enough
plate.
like quiet moments that like got me involved. You know what I mean? Because like action is obviously good. There's a little bit of that in there, and there's enough that like when that pops up, I'm almost like, oh yeah, I forgot. There's going to be like some action in this, a little bit, not a ton, but I like the way it was handled. I like kind of the focus on the character more, even though some of it is very cliche. You know, as you probably know, the story of Punisher, his family was, you know, killed. So
Spoiler.
They lean into some flashbacks, and after a while, I'm like, all right, I'm kind of done with these flashbacks. Like I know this story, even not with Punisher. With
Well, it's
all
kinda
the,
like Max Payne.
Yes, like
Yeah.
we've heard
Well,
this
then
story a
there's
million
the-
times, but they don't lean into it too hard. I think it's just enough to give you context, and I'm sure it'll probably
Because
be a lot
there's
lighter.
gonna be like a couple of people that are gonna watch that show who have no idea who the Punisher is, and there always is like a couple people
Yeah.
who does. But on that, it's like, well, where have you?
So basically,
Yeah,
the premise of the Punisher is his family's killed in the crossfire of some type of criminal act, and then that makes him want to kill every criminal.
Yeah,
Tom Jane.
Is that what they showed in the Marvel series? Because it's a little bit different here.
No, in the Marvel series,
Okay.
it was more of like a conspiracy type deal.
Okay, yeah.
John Travolta killed.
But so then the
Jane's
Tom
family.
Jane version was his family got massacred by the family
By
of
John Travolta.
John
And then he
Travolta
had to go kill
had
John
hitmen
Travolta.
kill his entire family because
And he had to go kill
Tom
John Tra-
Jane
yeah.
was like his version of Frank Castle was like an undercover agent that got his son into Sting, and his son died. And
What if they did like a Marvel, like, you know, shit, what you know, with the parallel universes series, and then all of a sudden all the Punishers showed up and they were all just pointing guns at each other.
Like Super Punisher
what
All
was funny, the
Stars.
first Punisher with the Punisher that had Tom Jane in the
Dolph Lundgren is
2000s,
one of them.
it came out the same weekend as Kill Bill Volume 2, I believe, or within a week of it. And the thing about that Punisher was it wasn't a bad movie. It just shouldn't have been called The Punisher because it was set in Florida, and the Punisher's always been heavily linked to New York.
I really like that in the series. I really like them kind of just showing New York some. It feels almost like a 90s New York, even some of the the decor inside like one of the apartments. I don't know. I just like, I wasn't over the moon on the show, but it was good enough to where it's like, okay, I'll probably turn on another episode and maybe keep going with this.
If you go back to like the 80s and 90s, or even before that in comics, like the one place in the world you don't want to go is New York.
Yeah.
That's where everything
So
happens.
basically, the one thing though that I think would be a problem for some of these shows in the future is why doesn't Spider-Man just come and stop them? Why, like the thing is, like Michael Keaton's character from Spider-Man: Homecoming, like interacting with Frank Castle. That's a team up I want to see. That's like a buddy, odd couple type show I want to see, but obviously can't happen because Michael Keaton's not going to do a Netflix series. But yeah, so
I don't know, because Netflix isn't like
he's not going to do a Marvel Netflix
Yeah,
series.
And honestly, this Punisher, it looks good, but it feels, it doesn't, as far as just the way it looks, it doesn't look that expensive as far as just the cinematography. Like,
Yeah,
it's all
they're-
fine. It looks good, but it looks very much not, like,
Well,
it
you
doesn't
can
have a lot
s-
of sheen on it.
You can see on some of those, some of those other Marvel series how they look good and they're shot on
Yeah.
good cameras and lit well and all, so it looks fine, but you can tell that they don't have a $10 million per episode budget like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, they're just
does
not able to
sometimes.
spend the time on set to really, fine tune things.
Yeah, but we need to bring up a point, because like right now in the world that is Marvel, Spider-Man is still like the low tier guy, so he would be fighting the same criminals that Daredevil and all of them are fighting.
Yeah.
Just like, why didn't Spider-Man just beat all of them up and just have it
Well,
over 5 seconds? I mean, because that's a very good question. Because like because that's where he's operating until the new Avengers
Realistically,
movie.
because of money.
Oh yeah, yeah.
but
just the conventional. If you have a brain, like you said, why doesn't he do?
But I
this?
think they just need. I think from what I've read, the Punisher kind of separates itself from everything else.
Wouldn't it be great as if the end of the Punisher or Daredevil or one of those series, like one of them's falling off a building and Spider-Man comes and saves them and says everybody gets just one.
Yeah,
Right, Peter?
yes.
Or Tony Stark flies through, and he's like,
There's your cameo.
Yeah.
Like, and do that. Like,
That'd be
just
fun.
spend the
But
money on
in
like
those-
one scene.
That,
in
or they
those,
can just use some of the stock
but
footage
in
from the
those
Italian.
in those shows, the Netflix Marvel shows, they go out of their way to avoid saying like, oh, you talking about the green guy, the god, and the suit man flying over
Yeah.
with the captain or with the American icon guy and then the black assassin who's named after a spider, but I'm not going to say it. And the guy who's bird eye, I can't say the actual bird. But yeah.
Well, because it's probably one of those weird things where, like, even with the show Gifted on, which I have not watched and really don't have any interest in, but I was just listening to podcasts talking about, like, even though it's an X-Men property, they still don't own the names to other X-Men. So they can't, like you said, like,
Wolverine.
just
like, oh, look, Claw Guy.
yeah, Claw Guy. So, like, when you have those properties, it's funny that
The guy that's got the claws in his hands,
He's
like,
the
oh, you
generic
mean
dollar store action
Yeah.
figure of Wolverine.
They're like,
man.
well, no, this way he's like, oh, you want the guy with the claws on his hands? Like, oh, you mean Freddy Krueger? It's like, oh, that's another copyright character.
no.
But so is that everything?
The Nightmare Man.
Let me see
The Pee Pee
here.
Poo Poo Man.
We talked about it. Watched a little bit of Machete Kills. That looks very low rent. Did not enjoy that. I don't know what was going on with that
How did
film.
Danny Trejo become so, like, in everybody's homes now?
Yeah, speaking of that, when I was watching this, the Punisher, he just seems a little, I don't know, he seems a little clean and not as weathered. And I was thinking, imagine Danny Trejo as a Punisher. Like, just make a Latino Punisher. Like, I think he would have done killer. Maybe he's a little bit too old now, but like 10 or 15 years ago, just having him as a Punisher, that would have been like a cool, you know what I mean?
I actually know a better Punisher. He's still acting right now, and he's a little bit younger than Danny Trejo.
Who?
Nicolas Cage. Just a complete off the hinges, like, what was his name in Superbad?
Oh, or you mean
Not Superbad.
Kick-Ass?
Kick-Ass,
Big
yeah.
Daddy.
Yeah, just Big
Yeah.
Daddy off the hinges, the Punisher. Like,
He kicks
I
the
would
door
watch
in.
it.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yeah, like, it wouldn't. Yeah, that'd be interesting for about one episode.
I don't know. Yeah, that could be pretty good.
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez, some of his later day stuff.
Yeah, but Danny Trejo would have been a great Punisher. I
Yeah, it
think.
would have been
Because
interesting.
I just, because I think
He's
about
very
somebody,
grizzled,
he
too.
looks like he's been through some stuff and he's
Yeah.
weathered. And, I think it would be cool to like do different things with that characters over time. You know what I mean? Like,
I wanna
all
see-
characters, change your ethnicities, give them a different
No,
spin.
Then you have, like, the
Mach-
fanboys crawl out of the
Yeah.
cell.
Have Machete versus Triple X.
Who?
Machete.
Well, then Triple X I would like to see. That's why The Rock and Vin Diesel can't work together because they're just,
Okay.
ego.
Yeah, I mean, the other stuff, so because I had that Cinemax trial and I also have like Showtime and some other stuff that I accidentally had for a month. I didn't mean to. But like I watched All the President's Men. Hadn't watched that before. Very good. Maybe Robert Redford, Dustin Hoffman, another like, oh, Dustin.
Yeah, he's everybody.
But that was fascinating about that. It's about the Watergate scandal. But like they made that film like probably just 2 or 3 years, I think. I may be a little wrong, after Nixon was resigned. So it's like very cool to see that film made in that era, and it wasn't
Yeah.
like a period piece. You know what I mean? Like it was just made like right then, basically as it happened.
Yeah.
Which is like fascinating and very cool that film exists. Really enjoyed that. I watched Lincoln because that was another I wanted to start
is that
something.
the Vampire Hunter?
No, it wasn't the Vampire Hunter.
The
That was
Daniel
a Steven
Day-Lewis.
Spielberg one
Okay.
with Daniel Day-Lewis. Enjoyed that as well. First half was just kind of trucking along, but I think it gets very good at the end. For some reason, I was on like a little bit of a historical kick, and that's an easy way to digest it, is watch films, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like there's just, I think that was a really well-made film. Not super exciting all the time, but the last half is really good. First half is fine too, and that has a phenomenal cast like James Spader. I'm like blanking on everybody now. What the hell is the kid's name from Third Rock from the Sun? Jason Gordon-Levitt.
Jonathan Gord, Joseph.
Gordon-Levitt. Yeah.
What squinty-eyed guy was he in there?
What guy?
From Third Rock from the
Oh,
Sun.
French Stewart.
Yeah, it's French Stewart.
No, he wasn't. Walt Goggins was in there.
Oh, okay.
Of course, Tommy Lee Jones because he was in the trailer. And,
Tommy Lee Jones is always angry. I wonder if he's
yeah, no, he's angry in this. It's pretty, but he's He's almost reserved angry. Yeah, he's really good in this. Awesome cast. Yeah, I watched Gone Girl again. I turned that on just to watch a little bit. End up watching the whole movie because it's Fincher. Yeah, so that's a good film. So yeah, that's about it then.
All right, so moving to our review of Thankskilling from 2009 that you can watch on Amazon Prime if you have that, or you can rent or pay for it if you choose to make that decision. But it's a 2009 film, and I don't know, like, so I guess I can look at what the IMDb synopsis is.
On there.
Because, like,
So-
I looked at it earlier, the estimated budget was $3,500.
35. So $3,500.
Yes. And
Good on them.
The synopsis is a homicidal turkey axes off college kids during Thanksgiving break. So there's not a lot of Thanksgiving themed horror films. So there is Blood Rage, which
Did we cover that last year?
we talked about it because Arrow sent like the DVD for
Yeah.
it. So that's one I do recommend checking out.
Yeah.
It's an 80s slasher set during Thanksgiving. Kind of fun, got some fun gore and stuff. I mean, it's not like a classic on the order of Halloween or anything, but if you want a Halloween themed horror film,
What?
you can check that one out.
You mean Thanksgiving themed?
What did I
Yeah, you
say?
said Halloween.
Oh, okay.
What did I say?
I thought you said Halloween.
Okay, regardless of what I
Halloween
said.
and Halloween themed.
I just said it wasn't on the same level as like a Halloween
Okay,
level
but if
classic.
you want a Thanksgiving
if you want a
themed one-
Thanksgiving
yes, okay.
themed horror film, specifically a slasher film or any film really, then you can check out Blood Rage.
First appearance of Ted Raimi.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he's selling condoms or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it also has like
Did I do a video on that?
on Blood Rage.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe I just watched it a lot.
Maybe we thought about it or you thought about it. But that's a movie that's a Thanksgiving theme that you can go check out. The Arrow video re-released and adds some like extra features and stuff in. So that's one that is fun to watch and not as well known as you would think.
So
But
Thankskilling was not fun to watch?
Thankskilling, so it was essentially a turkey puppet that was going around and killing college kids. And this is very much like when you watch it. So for 2009 was before the DSLR revolution really kind of came in and made it affordable to make independent films that looked anywhere approaching really the quality and level of Hollywood films. Because then with those DSLRs, I think it all started with the Canon 5D Mark II, right? Mm-hmm. And that was where you could use 35 millimeter lenses, use photography or for cinema on a digital camera and get a picture that approximated what you got out of film cameras or the higher end digital cameras like Reds and things like that. So it was before the era of that. So I didn't see what camera it was shot on, but
it was 2009. So 2008 was, or 2007 was Grindhouse, right? Or was that 2006?
Grindhouse
2007,
was
I think.
2007, I believe.
So, the Rob Zombie's Thanksgiving trailer, everybody loved.
or Eli Roth.
Eli Roth. This is very much, I think, in a response to that, absolutely. So everybody wanted that film. He did not make it, so they made Thankskilling. I have to assume because it is very much in that same vein, as ridiculous as that.
Yeah, 'cause, like, it starts off like in the Pilgrim era, and then like
it starts off on like a nipple, and then it like
Yeah,
zooms out.
yeah.
Like,
Because I think the tagline was "There's boobs in the first 5 seconds," which
Yeah.
it
that's
delivers
the
on.
tagline. That's
Yeah.
great.
and then it's like nice
And-
tits, bitch, and then he kills the person.
So you have a turkey. So the turkey puppet, like if their budget was really only $3,500, I would assume the majority of that budget went to the turkey puppet and blood or whatever. Because what's like, because this is a movie, like I said, $3,500 budget, independent film from 2009. This is not going to stand up visually or in terms of audio. Like the thing is though, like from that era, it's not bad. Like visually and audio wise, there's some bad audio and some bad like there's scenes where they're driving around in a Jeep and you can tell they're just holding the camera handheld because it's all super tight on people's faces and the audio is pretty bad for their back and forth conversations. But it's not the same level of super terrible independent film we've seen on some things. But
As we were watching it, though, my wife was like, "Oh, this seems just like a film we would watch at like Fright Night Film Fest in that
Yes.
era." And I was like, "Yeah, it's like," and two, the humor and the writing
Yeah,
and
the
stuff is on
humor's
that
not
level.
yeah, there's like gobble gobble bitch.
yeah, it's very much kind of like our Rob Zombie Thanksgiving humor to an extent, but maybe not. Maybe our
Wasn't
humor
there
is better.
a joke about was it John Benet Ramsey?
Yes, there's a John
Multiple
Benet.
times.
It's like her legs are as open as the death or the investigation of John Benet Ramsey.
Harder to close.
Or,
or
yeah, her
something.
legs are harder to close than the John Benet Ramsey investigation. And it's like,
And they use it 3 times.
and it's one of those things where that was like a mid '90s thing. That was not
Yeah, it's
super
kind of an
relevant,
obscure reference. Yeah, I mean,
especially for quote unquote college kids who were 18, 19 at the time.
well, no, I would take that back. Cause like I remember, like I was like 7 when that happened, and
That's just kind of like an obscure thing to
Is that
reference
the joke
multiple
you and your
times.
friends made in high school, though?
I know in
No,
2000, 2009 was when the movie was. When I was in college, when I started college in 2004, we were all making references to John Benet
John Benet
Ramsey
Ramsey
and
case, yeah.
Nancy Kerrigan.
Yeah,
and
'cause that's at least
O.J.
Tonya Harding.
Simpson.
yeah, because in 2009 it'd at least be 12 years since that happened. So yeah, now if it was like in 99, it'd probably
So
make more
this is one of those movies that has achieved notoriety, I think, because of a couple things. One, there aren't that many Thanksgiving-themed horror films.
Yeah.
So having any of them makes it more likely to stand out.
and they got the name first for you.
They got
good title. It's a
Thankskilling.
good
They have a good title,
Yeah.
and you know it has a turkey that goes around killing people. So you have the elements of an anthropomorphized animal killing people, a good name for a genre that doesn't have a lot around it at the moment or at the time,
Yeah.
and you had renewed interest in a Thanksgiving horror film after the Eli Roth trailer for Thanksgiving.
And the exploitation grindhouse style of films, too.
Yeah.
That had became popular more on the independent scene than it was in theaters. So more people were into wanting to make those than were wanting to watch them.
Yeah. It's just funny though, because this is kind of floated around because I remember like I've watched it on Netflix the first time like years. I mean, this is probably like 2010 or something.
Yeah.
So it may have came out, or maybe even 2009. It may just came straight out and went straight to Netflix. But I wonder, if they had budget, you said 3,500.
Yeah.
So they've at least made that back.
Well, 'cause
it's been
we've-
on streaming services since probably it came out.
Oh, I'm sure that like so if the budget was really 3,500 and it's on Amazon Prime, it's probably been watched enough that they
They've made
maybe made that back. But most independent film, even stuff that achieves a certain level of notoriety, doesn't usually make money.
Well, my thing is, if Netflix, because it was on Netflix and I watched it, so
Yeah.
doesn't Netflix have to? Pay
Netflix
them?
will give you like a flat rate, but it could be part of some distributor pick their movie up,
Yeah.
and then
I
Netflix
would
gave
say
that
they
Netflix gave that distributor $150,000 for their entire catalog,
Yeah.
or something like that. So that's sometimes how those things
So
work.
for Thanksgiving 3, they raised $112,000 through Kickstarter.
And so Thanksgiving 3,
So it has its fans.
Thanksgiving 3 though, I watched for maybe 10 to 15 minutes of it and turned it off because it has like the turkey like who's living like a sitcom life with like a wife and a child, and he kills his wife and the child, and it was I couldn't get through
It
it.
was just bizarre.
Just I'm trying to think of the adjectives to use. It was just it was banal. I don't know. I didn't. But like, so Thanksgiving was like, oh, we're going to do a slasher with the killer being a turkey. And then there's like weird elements, like the turkey's on the side of the road and a car pulls over and the turkey gets in. And then the guy tries to sodomize it. And then the turkey has
Does
a
he say
shotgun
like
out of
ass,
nowhere.
crash, or cash?
Yeah.
And
And then the turkey's like, I forgot exactly. The turkey's like, well, I'm not sharing this. And then he pulls a shotgun out of nowhere.
So it's kind of
And-
like anime, not Animaniacs, but like Tiny Toons, Looney Tunes kind of
And then there's a part where the turkey has sex with a girl, and they make a joke later. They found some extra small condoms.
gravy flavored.
Yeah, but then the joke. So what you're saying is this turkey is going to use protection when he sexually assaults someone before killing them. Is he just that careful?
Well, he
and
also
safe?
talks like he's like, kind of like from the streets, but he's from 500 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
wish
part
he
of
would
some
have talked like
curse.
an old English or something.
Yeah.
And then
like very proper and like was a very polite turkey, but then murdered everybody.
So the character archetypes you have is you have the nerd, you have the kind of jock or the pretty boy, you have like the hot girl, well, kind of like Cabin in the Woods. You have like the athlete,
But just
you
a
have,
better, this is just a better version of that.
the kind of fat friend.
yeah, the kind of
That's
jokester,
comic relief. Yeah.
and then you have the loose female and the more virginal female, and so really does those kind of stereotypes you see from all those films, and then it plays out about like those movies usually do, but then you have like the added element of there's like that random hunter who's trying to get the turkey and
Who
stuff.
just seems like somebody's uncle they got to play because he's like smiling the whole time. Like,
Well,
that's kind of charming.
Yeah,
like
but
that's kind of, I enjoyed
that
that.
guy kind of, he wasn't as good, but kind of reminded me of the cop from Insane, or the clowns from
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
yeah,
I was just thinking that.
He's like, hey, stop. What are that pie?
What are you gonna do with them pies?
It's like, I feel like, and that guy was actually an actor.
Yeah.
But I feel like with that Hunter's like, it's like, hey, Dad, you want to do this? And he's like, oh, okay.
But like,
and he's just like happy being the kids.
and then you have like them leaving this like very pathetic looking college campus, but when they go on vacation.
So like JCC.
And of course, they're in the woods around a campfire at some point, and
It checks all the,
And they tell the legend.
Tell the legend.
Yeah.
And then they at one point, think they killed the turkey, but it's not. And then like, so what was it they had to do?
Full spoilers for this, by the way.
Yeah, full
Yeah, not that
spoilers.
it's
You
much to
can't.
spoil.
It's like what? How long is it too? 110 minutes or something?
It's not
107
super long.
Or I mean, an hour and 7 minutes, right?
Yeah, it's not very long. 'Cause
Which I love that it was only like an hour, basically. 'cause
It's
I
an
was like,
hour.
all right.
It's an hour and 10 minutes.
That's why I saw that. I was like, all right, let's do it.
And like,
You don't lose much of your life for watching this.
and the turkey puppet was entertaining, and at least in that aspect.
Yeah.
And it's just like you see what if it was really made for a budget of $3,500, if you increase that budget to say 10 times that and have better lighting and audio and all that stuff, you need better writing and you need better acting.
The film any better.
Yeah.
Like they
need-
spent as much money on this film as they needed to.
Well, the thing is though,
at any point if they spent any more money,
It would've
they
been
would
a-
just been
but the thing
polishing
is,
a turd.
well, the thing though is there a better movie out of that concept? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, yes, there is, but is there?
But you're turning everything on its head,
Yeah.
like Scream does, or
So
something
maybe
like that.
you flip, like, say you take the turkey, and the entire point of it is every year, because when we were watching the movie last night before it started, they had like the trivia stuff. Or was it maybe it was at dinner the other night, wherever it was. Regardless, there was something that said like 46 million turkeys are eaten every year by Americans during Thanksgiving. So maybe make the reverse of it, like the turkey became sentient and alive and is just going on a mass murder spree to avenge its fallen brothers and sisters.
He's trying to eat 46 million people that year.
And then to their point, it's like, you killed 46 million of my kind last year. If I kill 100 of yours, it's not a big deal. Like, that's a more interesting concept than ancient Native American curse on a turkey that somehow talks in completely modern, almost, from the street type language.
Well, I like how the guy just picks him up too. Like, there's a turkey. Like, I've never just like drove by and picked the animal up and it just sits in there.
Yeah, you see a turkey on the side of the road, so the guy pulls over and then wants to sodomize it.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
And the turkey
Kills him with a shotgun.
later rapes someone himself.
Yeah.
And then you have like the weird, like, I don't know, the relationships are weird because there's like the nerdy guy and then like the funny guy who isn't really funny. And
the jock he struggles acting, and I also
Yeah.
enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. Anytime he tried to,
I will say this from doing my own acting. Once you screw up on something, like the
it's hard to recover.
Yeah, like there's a scene where I get ham out, and it's like, I had a really good delivery once, but there was like an airplane or a lawnmower or something in the background, and we had to refilm it. And it just,
yeah, like the first or second take, you nailed it, but there was an airplane flying overhead and it was really loud.
And then it just,
then after that, it took 15 more takes to get back to
And then you have
one.
everybody staring at you, and it's like, oh, damn. So I can understand where you could,
No, it's enjoyable. I don't act either, so I'm not knocking him. But he struggled more than everybody else, and that was also an enjoyable element to this.
Yeah.
film.
So when you
There was
look,
no like magic that was broken by him. It's not like he brought the film down in any regards at all.
So looking through IMDb, only a few of the people in the cast have pictures for their accounts. So the guy that plays Darren has a picture for his account. The sheriff has a picture for his account, and the man in the car has a picture for his account.
What has the man in the car been in?
Let's see. A few things. So Thankskilling, a movie called, or this is all. Oh, see, for actor, he was in State of Delinquency and Thankskilling.
Okay.
And then he's directed
That thing we
something.
know. I was hoping he like rocketed to stardom after this after that scene.
Or let's see, what else have some of these people been in? So actor. So the guy that played Darren was also in a movie called Biker Warrior Babe, Zombie. No, the Biker Warrior Babe versus the Zombie Babies from Hell. So he's in that, and something that doesn't even have a poster for it called Saturday Night Pillow Fights from 2012.
That kind of sounds like
Real quick aside, another trailer I watched that kind of reminded me of this was another Wolf Cop.
Yeah.
I heard that was supposedly better maybe than the first
It has
one.
Kevin Smith in it, I think. And like some small cameos.
Yeah.
But like Kevin Smith is like one of those things like what does that even mean?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
anyway, they did this that first one, and I'm glad they did. It had some enjoyable stuff in there, but I'm interested in this one, but not like.
Well, so I
dying to
think
see it.
just to be fair, the Wolf Cop is operating on a completely different level, budget, scripting wise. From
you
this
just made me think of it because I was thinking about exploitation films. I don't know why this film feels Canadian for some reason.
It kind of does.
Like I don't know why. That's why I was going on that route because Wolf Cop is Canadian.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I was just thinking, well, it's probably not considering it's about Thanksgiving, but that doesn't mean anything necessarily.
Too, like the odd thing with the exploitation or the faux exploitation cinema thing is that so there are the movies that have a real production budget and have a real effects budget and have real actors who use the exploitation style. So there's that, but then there's also the glut of no low budget indie fare where they use the grindhouse trappings. But so many people say, "Oh, I want to make an exploitation film," but they don't know what they're doing, so it's just a bad movie. And because I think a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people reassessing Planet Terror now in kind of the wake of the Harvey Weinstein stuff and how Rodriguez supposedly cast Rose McGowan in it, or he claimed just as kind of like a F you to Weinstein for his behavior and things like that. But to me, Planet Terror felt like somebody going with what they thought a grindhouse movie was and just making it with like current technology and equipment and all that stuff and just trying to be over the top and fun. He made a movie that played out like the posters to grindhouse movies might look, but don't actually deliver.
Yeah.
Tarantino made a grindhouse movie.
Yeah.
Or more in that style. And I feel like a lot of the grindhouse-esque kind of exploitation films kind of miss the point and they go over the top with all the wrong elements and don't realize the reason those old movies would have 45 minutes of dialogue and 15 minutes of action is because they had no budget and they just made this stuff made this stuff up, gave it an awesome poster, and then sold tickets at a drive-in.
Yeah, and a good name like Thankskilling.
Yeah.
So Thankskilling is one of those movies where no budget, because like Amazon Prime, there are a ton of low-budget horror films on there.
Yeah, which there are some. There's one I watched the other day, and I can't remember. It's like it's a guy from Lexington, from Kentucky, that made it, and I had to find the name out. The premise is it's kind of like stays overnight at a house, kind of like a Paranormal Activity, but he's like making a short about film. So the first introduction movie is like showing stuff on the internet that you've seen, like everybody's seen a couple of these videos of ghosts, and he goes to the guy's house, and just weird stuff happens. And none of it's really creepy, but it's just kind of cool to see like somebody make something probably with no budget at all. Interesting concept because it doesn't go all out like Paranormal Activity does. It has a couple weird stuff happen, and it tries to be based more on like kind of like every town kind of has like
a legend.
Yeah, a legend. So it's like he flies to Pittsburgh to do this. And it's just kind of interesting on that because it's like we all heard stories like, like supposedly this lady killed a bunch of people and buried them in the basement. The guy goes off of that a little bit.
So is it a fictional film or documentary style?
It's
is it actually a documentary or
a doc style or is it fictional film?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like you would think that it was all I went and did because at first when the movie ends, it's like was this based off a real story or not? And there was a woman that was named the same name that died in that town, but was before the time period was supposed to have happened.
Well,
but it just stuff like that's interesting because you can make really low budget horror films, or just I would say that is more of like a urban legend style film with no budget and keep it interesting. But you have to do certain things.
Well, and too with like low budget films, like ascertaining exactly what the budget is kind of hard sometimes if people are just kind of doing it by the fly. Because like going back to art shorts, I don't remember exactly what most of them cost. Like I know a ballpark figure, but
$1.
But the Thankskilling is one of those things where, so like we talk about like, oh, can you throw this on and show people? So if you're having like people over Thanksgiving who want to
definitely
watch a
show
horror
the
film,
family.
Yeah, I think most people are gonna be checked out immediately by the production values, probably.
Yeah.
Who are only used to watching mainstream movies.
Unless they
Your
have
uncle Rob will love the tits though in the opening scene.
Yeah, and like and the crudeness of it and stuff like that, like I said, like Thanksgiving horror films, there aren't a lot.
Yeah, it's very crude and over the top. I would not put this on for most anybody ever. Just because I'm sitting them down and I showed them this, I don't think they would ever want to sit down and have me show them another film again.
Yes. Because before I'd show them this, I'd show them Troll 2.
Yeah, well, the Troll 2 is a better horror film if they're even horror. But I mean, the only thing is
It's
like
more charming.
Yeah, it's more charming. It's like while Thanksgiving does have like funny stuff, it's not like
So Thankskilling felt like they were in on what the joke is they were trying to do. And they're making this thing, as opposed to Troll 2 is somebody, an Italian director who thought he was making a masterpiece. And I think that's more endearing.
That's what makes it more endearing. It's like this one, these people kind of knew they were making schlock.
Like
they knew it was schlocky. And
so like The Room, if it came out that Tommy Wiseau was really doing the entire thing as a piece of performance art because he knew what he was doing, I would be really disappointed.
But then also it would be a masterpiece.
Yeah, he'd be a genius.
Well, yeah.
He would be. That would be
like
a masterpiece.
after the Disaster Artist comes out, if it's a big hit, he's like, it was all a plan. And he shows like he did a documentary before they started that said it was all performance art.
I've heard so many stories about him. I know it's not a plan.
but like if it came out that it was, like then you're like, this guy's like a
like when
genius.
Joaquin,
he's like a Andy Kaufman.
well, like Joaquin Phoenix, when Joaquin Phoenix retired from acting to be a rapper. And he made that documentary that didn't really make a big dent, but then he's like, oh, okay, that experiment's over, back to acting.
Was it like I'm Still Here?
Yeah. The one that Casey Affleck directed or whatever. But and somebody put poop in his mouth in Joaquin Phoenix's mouth.
What?
I think it was fake. It was like the joke of somebody like put poop on his mouth like in the documentary. But yeah, so Thankskilling. It's one of those movies that, Derek recommended it. Just because it's a Thanksgiving movie.
Yeah, I'd watch. The first time I watched this was probably like 2009 or 10. It was on streaming on Netflix, and we had a bunch of people over and we watched it. And I just remember being really stupid.
Like
then.
I guess it could be fun if everybody was drinking or something.
Yeah.
So
or other
crack open some beers.
It has to be with people that are on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
If we had to get together, we could put it on.
Yeah. If you have a meeting of intellectuals, I don't know if this movie is.
So if you're at a Mensa after party.
Yeah,
don't put on Thankskilling. But yeah, like in terms, it's one of those things where you watch it and it's like, oh, there's a turkey.
Yeah, it really doesn't deserve a score because it's not trying to go for a score.
Yeah, I don't think.
I don't think we need to score this film.
No, I mean,
it doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
It's free to watch on Prime if you have it.
Yeah,
I'll just say don't pay money to rent.
Yeah,
this.
don't pay money to rent it. Just if you're interested,
watch on Amazon Prime because that at least gives them revenue for streaming time.
Yeah. And the thing is like we were saying, it might be best watched while you're in talk. If you have people over and you're just looking for something super funny to watch on, you're having a drink. But the audience you need for this is an audience that's okay with low budget stuff, very low budget,
and who are okay with really goofy ass horror movies. Like I said, like going back, like Blood Rage, that's something I think you could show to a little bit more of a non-horror specific audience. That still really is like low budget, low-ish budget.
Blood Rage though,
low budget-ish slasher from the 80s, set during Thanksgiving about twin brothers, like with their like really raspy smoke voice mom, and like the cut off sleeve shirts and very 80s-ness.
The only thing about that is like a lot of it doesn't feel like it leans into the Thanksgiving stuff a whole lot.
It's just
you know
a
what I mean?
backdrop. It's
like
not,
they have a Thanksgiving dinner and stuff like that, but it, at least Thanksgiving has a turkey predominantly in the entire film. Yeah. So like your mind is like, okay, yeah, I get it. This is Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Blood Feast feels like it's almost like a gimmick for, you know what I mean?
Well, it's kind of like Christmas was to Lethal Weapon or Die Hard.
So the other thing is like with Thankskilling, even though it was set during Thanksgiving, it doesn't look like it was shot during the fall.
No.
They probably just shot whenever they could.
Yeah.
But, so I guess we're not giving it a score. It's
I just would hope that one day somebody would be going through a catalog like, oh, you know what? We need to at least buy this name from these people and then make a new Thankskilling. Because like even that name, like I said, the name is good enough. They could probably make a decent amount of money. Somebody just wouldn't.
It's been about a decade now since it came out, so maybe we can purchase it for Brian Dorton locally bought the rights to Crazy Fat Ethel.
Yeah.
And made that film, and they basically gave him the rights.
So
I think, to make
maybe
it.
we should write the ultimate Thanksgiving-based
All right,
horror film.
let's do it.
And we
Let's-
need to get the director from Troll 2.
because there's a lot of
and
things.
say, look, this is our masterpiece.
This is our
Because there's a lot of things you could lean into, like the fact of the essentially attempted genocide of Native Americans by the English people that came over and took over the country.
See, I would rather it be the ghost of Native Americans riding on giant turkeys, like horseback.
Well, I kind of like the turkey eating 46 million people. So.
Or you have the element of say the soul of a turkey takes over a human, and then it's like, I'm going to destroy people.
Or the turkey that gets presidentially pardoned decides that it's going to take its gift of life and give death.
Have the movie start out with like Trump like, you're pardoned.
Or the
And then
Thanksgiving Day parade, somebody curses the giant turkey float, and then it becomes sentient and starts just crushing people as the float and breaking through buildings.
So kind of like Ghostbusters.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Then you have Bill Murray's like, too old for this shit, and then he has to go get the ghost.
Or
pack
you
up.
could you could lean into the element of like how many stores are open for shopping on Thanksgiving now, and
Yeah.
it's all been distorted to commercialism.
Yeah, consumerism is really what's killing us.
Yes, consumerism is killing us.
That's too smart.
Okay, so
So I have, if we're all done, I have one Thanksgiving story. I had Thanksgiving
Here's the
yesterday
turkey.
with some of my family. I haven't some with some friends today, but with family. It sounded like a good horror villain. There was this guy apparently that my grandma used to live in a court, kind of by Greenwood Boat Docks. You know where that's at.
Yeah.
So she lived in a court. Apparently there was this guy in the neighborhood called Cadillac Jack. When he would roll into the court, all the kids would take off running in like all different directions and scatter and hide. That was because when he was drinking a lot too, drinking and driving. That's because he would pull up in the court, hop out of his car, chase kids down, rip off their shoes and socks, and pop all their toes. That was his thing. So my pitch is a Freddy Krueger-like scenario where all the parents kill him, but then he comes back as like a demon in the shadows under your bed and reaches out and pops your toes.
Like
snap.
there's a
Cadillac
terrifying thing.
Jack,
It's like
Cadillac Jack. There's your name.
it's like a
Shit,
terrifying premise. Like
He rolls up in his Cadillac. You just hear it outside.
let's register that name before this episode drops. So Cadillac Jack.
Yeah.
that's a good name for a killer.
It
for
is,
sure.
yeah.
Cadillac
Like, he
Jack.
has iconic vehicle.
Yeah.
His style of terror is very unique.
Yeah.
So Cadillac Jack. So watch if you don't want to, don't watch Thankskilling. If you do want to, watch it on Prime. If you want to
There's another Thanksgiving movie
watch
we should-
Thanksgiving
Rob Zombie
Thanksgiving Dinner is Rick and Solve Rob Zombie, our short film. You can check that out.
to get you in the mood.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah,
that
and let us know your pitches for a Thanksgilling reboot.
yes.
I would like to know that.
Thanksgiving Thanksgiving 4 Cadillac Jack.
We'll get on that.
But, yeah, so I think that wrap our discussion of Thankskilling. If you're listening via iTunes, you can do us a huge favor and leave a review there. That helps other people find the podcast. You can find all the work we're doing at housebyvideostore.com. You can find links there to all of our social media accounts. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. And I think that's it. Because other like Vine doesn't exist anymore. And we didn't really use it much to begin with.
That was short-lived.
Vimeo, we haven't really used ours in a long time because we don't pay for it anymore.
Yeah.
Because hashtag free life. But the so you can check all the stuff out at housebyvideostore.com. You can find us specifically on the internet. I recommend you just follow us our Instagram, HBTVS_official.
So after this week, Thanksgiving's over. Do we want to watch Better Watch Out for next time, or wait a little bit closer to Christmas?
We could probably do that one.
You want to do that next week? It's supposed to be good. So
So me. Does that have Alf in it?
No.
They said better watch Alf.
No, Better Watch.
Oh, that changes everything.
Yeah.
No,
so,
I can watch it.
Yeah. So, and then specifically on the internet, you can find me on Twitter. Actually, now it's just at William Caps. So, not my actual name.
Mine just at Meta World Derek.
Mine's at Blevin Sean. Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Gobble, gobble. So, that'll bring this episode of the House by Vegas Store podcast to a close. Thanks for listening.